Welcome back to Inside Politics. Our guest today, Dr. Thomas Schwartz of Vanderbilt University. Dr. Schwartz, all presidents have had trouble lately with what to try to do with the problems at the southern border. President Biden's had his problems, and now recently you've had this problem with the Haitians that came up from Central America after leaving that country and tried to get in. He took a lot of them by plane out of the country again. Which made a lot of the people on his own party mad at him. Is he really making any progress about this in this whole area? It looks like all presidents, because Congress won't act to do anything about immigration, they're kind of stuck with doing the best job they can, putting Band-Aids on open wounds.
It does seem like that, and I think one of the things we have to recognize is, in a way, our labor shortages that we have in this country are going to be a continuing lure for anyone from other countries to want to come to the United States. This is something that's going to be going on for a while. We don't seem to have any type of ordered immigration policy now, and particularly the southern border, which was so toxic during the Trump administration with the idea of putting children in cages and all the bad images, that now the Biden administration is having to deal with this issue, because people do think, I think, in Central America and Haiti and other places, that the United States is more welcoming now. And so they're going to be coming, and these images are going to continue. And I think this is an ongoing problem for the Biden administration, and I'm not exactly sure where they're going to take it.
Getting back to Congress, they're having trouble getting their business done. Again, this has happened several times before, no matter which party was in charge of Congress. They barely got a budget passed before the budget year ran out, but they only kicked the can down the road to December. Why can't Congress get this done? Are they ever going to go back to the regular order of business and get a budget done on time?
If I had the answer to that question, Pat, I would really be winning the lottery on political pundits. It is very hard to see. I think Congress reflects the country in this manner. It reflects a country that's polarized, in which many of the congressional districts now reflect our sort of residential segregation, more in terms of political belief than in terms of race or economics. In that sense, you've got a situation in which you've got a good deal of uncompromising representatives there who are not willing to work within the system as it used to be. And it's going to be very hard to put it back together. And I think the Biden administration has a real challenge on its hands with this, although I would not be surprised still if they're able to push through some of their initiatives. I think they have a bit more coordination with their caucus than others, but there's still big divisions.
Getting back to Congress, another issue, in fact, that they are facing, the nation faces, and perhaps the whole world, and that is the U.S. is once again about to exceed its debt limit. We've never not paid our existing debt, but we look like we may be closer than ever to this when the Republicans insisting. The Democrats do it along with reconciliation. Democrats say this is a shared burden for existing, not future debt. This could be a huge impact on our economy and the world's economy, but for the average American citizen, what's it going to mean if we default on our debts?
Well, in the worst case scenario, it would mean for many average Americans not receiving their Social Security payment, not receiving their veterans benefits. In a sense, it would mean the United States government would default on its obligations to the many people that it has payments to, and that would be a disaster. In 2011, we came close to this issue, and it led to the downgrading of the bond rating of the Treasury securities by Standard & Poor, and cost the Treasury a significant amount of money in interest. So this is a pretty big problem. Both parties seem to be playing chicken on it. The Democrats insist the Republicans have to go along because they created part of the debt. The Republicans don't want to do it because it seems to be authorizing even greater spending by the Democrats. I think in the end, the Democrats may have to do this alone simply to avoid the damage, but it's scary, and it is, as I say, a type of game of chicken between the parties.
The president's legislative agenda, as you mentioned, is kind of stuck. The progressives and the moderates in their party are at odds with each other about how big the bills ought to be and which bill ought to pass first. Is this another sign of what Will Rogers said many years ago, that the Democrats are not an organized political party?
It might be, although the Democrats have actually displayed a great deal of discipline in recent times. This is actually a bit ironic, because Nancy Pelosi has generally been able to keep her representatives in line. This does seem to be stronger. The progressives seem to be feeling their oats and wanting to take this issue further. But I think what's odd is the Biden administration could use a win, and the infrastructure bill, the smaller infrastructure bill, has bipartisan support and would give the president a legislative victory. So it does surprise me that progressives have been so insistent that they need to tie the two bills together, and that otherwise they won't go ahead with the one that has the bipartisan support. But again, politics has become a contact sport these days.
All this discord among Democrats certainly are making Republicans happy, given that historically the party out of power in the White House gains in the Congress in midterm elections. Shouldn't the Democrats and Joe Biden be concerned that if they don't handle this correctly, this could blow up in their face for 2022?
Yes, they're fighting history in this because with only a couple of exceptions, the party in power is going to lose seats in a midterm election, and they don't have many seats to lose. They're 50-50 in the Senate, and they only have an 8-seat majority in the House. So they don't have much. They don't have much ground to cover on that to lose their controlling position. But I think, on the other hand, if they can get these policies across and prove their effectiveness, they might be able to hold off what had been this historical trend of losing seats.
Dr. Thomas Schwartz of Vanderbilt University, thank you so much for being with us. We always appreciate you coming on the program and bringing your wisdom and insight to what's going on. We look forward to having you again in the future.
Well, thanks again for having me on the program.
And that's Inside Politics for this week. Thank you so much for joining us. Hope you can be back here again for a future show. If you can't get enough politics in the meantime, you can go to the News 505 website. You'll find my Capitol View commentary there. The new commentary posted every Friday afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you back here next time. Goodbye.